So first thing I wanted to say is I kind of joked on the site yesterday about, and we have two, I think, off air. People talk about, winning games with defense and rebounding and being a tough team and that kind of stuff. And if that's what you guys did against Texas, they shot 28%. You guys beat them on the boards. Nice, I assume, to win a game in kind of a different way than maybe you have a lot of other games this year.
Yeah. I mean, it was good because we showed versatility in the way we can win. And you got to win games differently throughout the year. So, when we see, like you guys grade people,
right.
You grade games. So when we see you grade guys, like, to me, we won. Like, that's a win.
Exactly. Yep.
Is it an A? I don't know, but it's a W.
Right.
So do you want to change the grade? That basically,
yep.
That's what it is. But that's a different way. And offensively, that was not a pretty game. But defensively and rebounding, we haven't played that way in a very long time.
Right.
Probably since DJ and Wes were there, we could win games like that, grinders and with toughness and rebounding. I think that's the biggest key. We didn't know whether we can win that way consistently or play that way consistently for not only a half but two halves. And you got to give our guys credit. They're getting better, and that's something with Coach Brewer. When we've had kids in our program for a long time, they get better at the end of the year, and through they tend to carry that out. So hopefully, we're continuing to get better as a unit, as a team. Defensively, we're getting better. Rebounding, that's 2 in a row where we've won. So, and this is an imposing rebounding team with Bamba being on the other side.
Yep. You talk about grading people. Somebody I thought was great last night was Xavier Sneed. Didn't offensively wasn't fantastic with 13 boards, and obviously taking a lot of pride in being a really good defense player for you guys.
Yeah, when we recruited him, we knew he could really defend a bunch of different guys, and we knew that he was a high-level athlete. The shooting was something that kind of was like, oh my, okay.
Right.
And he's a freshman, he made a bunch of threes, and obviously he's made the most threes on our team. But his game's going to continue to evolve. He's a full-time starter. He understands his responsibilities now, and he's learning how to exist with really good players and be a part of the whole grand scheme of things. He's doing a great job of trying to still figure out who I am as a player, but putting winning first.
We have, a group text, and we kind of talk through games on the website. And I think I said at one point right before he went off that Barry just doesn't have it tonight. Did he stay confident the whole time, or what were your thoughts on the way he finished?
Well, part of it is because Curtin Roach is a pretty good defender.
Yeah, he is.
And they really tried to take Barry and Dean out of the game.
Yeah.
And Dean got going in that second half and got some stuff, and Barry really couldn't get anything going.
Right.
Because they were switching. When they switch, it would be Sims, who's got great feet, and long, and very athletic. When they blocked Barry's shot at the rim, they wouldn't. He couldn't get where he likes to get in the lane. We just told, we didn't have to say anything to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a veteran, and it was a maturity win. He didn't go crazy. He still kept guarding. X missed a bunch of shots. He still kept guarding and rebounding. And that maturity side of it sometimes trumps whether you shoot it well or play well as you'd like to, because Barry just 2 free throws went in and boom, it changed.
Yep.
He was at the rim back-to-back times, and he's making people foul him. And he's our leader. I think it's pretty clear. Our guys, he's the Pied Piper. Whatever he says goes. He barks the defensive orders. He says what we're going to do. He tells them, we got to get 3 shutouts in a row now, guys.
Right.
And it starts with him, and he'll say that. So he didn't say anything. 2 free throws went in, and there was an explosion. He just kind of got going offensively, and once Roach fouled out, it was over. They had nobody to deal with him.
Another guy who I thought was fascinating to watch in that game was Cardi. We got to talk after practice today a little bit, and I think I've asked you this 2 or 3 times, so it probably gets old for you, but I'm always struck by how emotionless he looks on the floor and how fearless he is. He had a time where he took it right at Bamba after Bamba had a big dunk on his end. Is it ever unsettling for you how calm he stays all the time?
Well, I think it's when you're a coach, you want your players to have some sort of, grit and emotion to the game, and he just doesn't, and the good thing is he makes plays he shouldn't. The bad thing is sometimes it costs us because he is casual and he doesn't. It's not as so we see it moving really fast and he doesn't see it moving that way. And I guess that's how you describe his game is it's slowed down for him as a freshman, which is really hard to the point where he is not afraid, or he can see stuff, or he doesn't take bad shots. And he really is a good teammate to his teammates, So I think those things are, intangible stuff that he has, which is not normal for a young player to go do some of the things he does in clutch situations.
On the flip side, Cam, he admittedly had a rough night. Last night we talked to him today after practice too, and he kind of admitted he had it at first and admitted there's times where he still thinks that his brain is faster than his body right now. He played really well up until that little setback. But overall, he's still moving in the right direction physically, or is it just going to be hard the rest of the way for him?
We just got to monitor how much we use him, and to not play him that much, and then he's going to bounce back. Trust me, he's played too many college games to allow that to affect whether he's going to play well in the future for us. And we know he's going to win games for us again, and he's got a lot of pride, which you want, and coming off an injury, and he wants to hit that beat button and take off, and he can't do it. And our biggest thing is to tell him to relax, to make shots. Just do what you do. You're a high-end shooter. Just make shots and run the team and be, don't try to go get him. Let him come to you right now at this stage. And then we know his foot's going to heal up. He's going to be better. But right now we don't need him to hit the turbo. we just need him to play and be solid and really take and make shots, which we know he can do at a high level.
As we look ahead to Oklahoma, are there two teams in the league that are more different to prepare for than Oklahoma and Texas? I mean, just the style they play, and are they almost polar opposites, or are they more similar than I would think maybe?
You know what? They don't have an imposing lottery pick inside. They have some very talented athletes, and they have guys that are, but Texas has freaks. They have runner-jumper guys, several of them. Where Oklahoma has some skilled dudes and some tough dudes, and a little dude out front that can just go get 50 in a game, And he's a magician with the ball. He can really pass. He can do a lot of things, and you prepare for them by having to put so much attention on one player and cutting off the head to beat them. And with Texas, they have some moving parts. And their scoring is more spread at times. When you look at what they're doing, you'll see eye-popping 30, and you'll see it drop all the way down to 12, and then other guys not in double figures. So, preparing for Oklahoma, it's Trae Young, but his surrounding cast are better than what the numbers say.
Right. I think perhaps media overplays this kind of stuff, but is this a time that, as a coach, it's probably always scary to play Trae Young in Oklahoma, but is it scarier when they've lost 5 straight, they're desperate and they're at home, and it just seems like they're waiting to burst out? Do you even think about that, or is it a good or bad time to play?
Well, I think this, when they've lost 5 in a row, why weren't they desperate at 2, 3, 4? So we don't want to put that in our guys' minds that we're not coaching them, so we don't know if they're desperate or not. We got to be us, and I think that's the biggest thing. We don't want to scare our guys into thinking that these guys are going to play hard, and if they don't, now we've mentally, put our guys in the wrong direction. We got to talk about us. We got to talk about how we've been playing. We got to show our guys what we did in the first game, show them what they're doing now, because everybody did what we did in the first game to have success against them. But they're doing some things differently now. That's what we have to show our guys, show them how we're going to counteract, their counters or what they've put in since we last saw them, and not scare our guys into thinking, oh, these guys lost 5 in a row. Now they're finally mad. You don't want to do that with them.
You mentioned it's about you guys, and I know there's more season left and a lot to talk about and a lot to get done, but big picture, you guys are at 20-8. You're 9-6 in the Big 12. You got most of the top 25 last week. Everybody has you in the field right now. And really, if you look at, and again, I know you can't get ahead of it, but you guys are 2 games out of first. You could be a game out depending on what happens on Saturday. Is this kind of, I'm sure you'd rather be in first place, but this is kind of where you hope you'd be, 3-4 games left in the league?
We talked about senior night meaning something.
Yeah.
And that was after Oklahoma State game. We just told our guys, if you trust us and continue to do what you're doing and play like this together, that Baylor game can mean something. Now that's like having blind faith, and we understand, you got to trust in something and put your heart into it before it actually happens. And, it's like throw your heart over the fence and the body will fall. That's what we asked them to do. And just trust each other. And I think when you seen us play, that's how we're playing. Because we never tried to hide. We lost 3 out of 4 and got smoked.
Right.
3 out of 4. And at that point, we were really resilient, and we came back and we won 2 road games since. And I think, you got to just stay focused on that side of it and not worry about, where it's at or where it could be. But we did tell them to have some pride, and if that last day means something, then it's going to be a special finish in the season.
Your players got asked repeatedly after practice today about bracket projections. They didn't answer at all. They did a great job, not looking at that, and it made it clear that they're worried about what's in front of them. And I'm sure you're the same way. I am curious, just not even about you guys, but just big picture, NCAA tournament stuff. Do you ever think too much emphasis is placed on these computer metrics and the RPI and that kind of stuff, as opposed to, I guess I'll come out and say it, you can have a team that's 3 games ahead of somebody in the same conference playing apples to apples 18 games, and they're 4 seeds behind them. Does that bother you, or do you just let it take care of itself?
Well, I think number one, when people say, "Oh, our non-conference is awful,"
right.
Well, those same guys the other teams bought dudes too,
yep.
not knowing they had better seasons, and that's the difference.
Right.
It's your buy games. Those are the ones that basically failed us.
220 or 250 makes such a big difference. Yeah.
220 to 330 that's a huge difference.
Right.
So I think the biggest thing for us is they've got to approach it like, okay, they may be ahead of us, but if we see them again,
right.
then we got to take care of them. And that's the approach we told them to have. You can't worry about where the bracketology, but they're kids, and that's what the optics of it infuriates them.
Yeah.
But it's in a positive way, because we tried to channel that energy in to get better, as opposed to whining and complaining. And we just told them, don't be a fan of that.
Yeah.
You guys get mad when fans say bad stuff about your coach. Well, don't be a fan of the bracketologist.
Right.
Don't do that. Just handle it. Because of what you guys have done, you're 20-8. And if you don't finish right, you can still say whatever. But to this point, they've done what we asked them to do, and they've not allowed being a fan or fans to affect their everyday process, which is getting better, playing hard for Kansas State, number 1,
right?
And trying to get to the ultimate goal, which is the NCAA tournament.
And I think the last thing this week, and you're always really honest. You mentioned that you guys took it on the chin against West Virginia and Tech and KU and that kind of stuff. But on the flip side, I'm going to forget something. You've swept Oklahoma State, you swept Iowa State, you swept Texas. You could look at it on paper and say, and you guys I'm sure think you should win every game, but a person on the outside can point out and say they've won every game that they should have won, or could have won in the conference. You've won a lot of close games too. I think the only close game you've lost in the conference that I remember is at Lawrence. Is that kind of unique to have a team that's been so consistent in winning those close games and beating the teams that, again, the outsiders might say you should?
It's not unique, but what makes it unique is how good our league is.
Right.
Let's say we swept Oklahoma State, and look who they've beat.
They beat the top 3 teams in the league.
So that's what makes this season unique, is that most of the time when you sweep somebody, they're bad.
Right.
And that's kind of the perception of stuff. If we sweep you, that means you're not very good. Well, we swept teams that have beaten the top 3 teams, which we haven't beat.
Right.
So now, does that give our guys more or less confidence? Well, it lets them know that to prepare for anything that can happen and that anybody can beat you. And just because we didn't have success against them doesn't mean we can't have success against the people that beat them. And that's how we just try to focus on that side of it and then help them to understand, like, hey, these guys beat Kansas and you didn't.
Right.
So, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, because we don't want them to think it's okay to lose to Kansas and West Virginia and Texas Tech, because it's not. But we would have loved to play Texas Tech where Evans doesn't play in the second half.
Yeah.
Because he destroyed us in the second half. He didn't do anything in the first half. We couldn't do anything with him at all in the second half at our place. So, but it's when you catch people, it's a lot of different stuff. But, we're always honest with our kids, because if we weren't, they wouldn't be resilient. They would live and die. Every game would be a big game to them instead of, every game being as important as the next. But when you deal with the Sunflower Showdown, that's a huge game for our state, our fans, our alumni, everybody. And that game, it affects our guys when we don't play well in it.
Right.
And we have carryover, we have hangovers because of it, because of what it means, and they understand it. But we've handled it well this year. We moved on, and you just gotta roll with the punches. And I saw something say we were a roller coaster team, and I thought about it, and I was like, are we really? We got smoked 3 times. That's
Right.
and we lost against Tulsa. So other than that, that's only 3 games out of 28.
Right.
So I don't think that's a roller coaster.